Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a book that, well, it really has shifted financial perspectives for millions. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, first published way back in 1997. Our mission today is to go beyond the surface, unpack its core message, and try to understand why it still resonates so much.
Yeah, it's quite something. This exploration, it really focuses on personal finance, investment, and uh, wealth accumulation. What's truly compelling here, I think, is that the book's main message isn't just about earning more money. It's more about cultivating a deeper financial intelligence,
Right.
empowering you to make your money work for you, rather than you just perpetually working for money.
And we've got a detailed review of the book as our source material for this deep dive. It covers, well, pretty much everything from its foundational concepts to its strengths and, yeah, the common criticisms it faces too. So whether you're maybe seeking financial freedom, looking to move beyond just a single salary, or maybe you're a student or a young professional just starting to build your financial mindset, well, prepare for maybe some shifts in perspective today.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the core setup. Imagine growing up with two really influential mentors, right? But each one has a totally different approach to money and life. That's the powerful narrative Robert Kiyosaki uses. It's how he frames his core ideas in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Let's unpack that central premise. He contrasts what he calls his poor dad, who was his actual father, a highly educated guy, a government job, but despite working hard, he struggled financially pretty much his whole life.
hmm And then there's the rich dad. Now, this was his friend's father. He had less formal education, apparently, but possessed this deep, almost intuitive understanding of investment, business, asset building,
Hmm.
that sort of thing.
Right. Less school smarts, more street smarts about money.
Kind of, yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Kiyosaki argues that to build, real wealth, we need to adopt that rich dad mindset, learning to make money actively work for us rather than just trading our time for it.
And from that rich dad perspective, this whole new set of financial truths starts to emerge. Truths that often, well, they fly in the face of conventional wisdom, don't they?
They really do, absolutely. And one of the first crucial lessons the book emphasizes is just the sheer importance of financial education. Kiyosaki argues pretty strongly that while schools teach academic skills, professional skills, they often fall short. They don't really prepare us for the actual world of money.
And he doesn't just mean basic budgeting, right? It's deeper than that. It's like a different kind of literacy.
Exactly. It's about practical knowledge, stuff you don't usually get in the classroom. Understanding things like, well, basic accounting, sure, but also how investments really generate returns. How to navigate taxes, not just see them as a burden, but as a system you can understand strategically. And critically, mastering cash flow, the actual movement of money in and out of your pockets.
Yeah.
This active understanding, he says, is foundational if you want to build wealth.
Okay, so once you sort of grasp that rich dad mindset, the way Kiyosaki redefines these fundamental financial terms becomes incredibly impactful. The real paradigm shift, I think, for many people often begins with his very clear, very memorable distinction between assets and liabilities.
Uh-huh, that's a big one.
An asset, as the book defines it, is something that puts money into your pocket. Think rental properties, stocks that pay dividends, maybe a successful business you own.
Right. And conversely, a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Simple as that on the surface. This includes things like, credit card debt, personal loans, or even, and this is where it gets controversial for some, a house purchased with a mortgage if it doesn't generate income.
That house example always sparks debate.
It does. Because Kiyosaki forces us to confront this maybe uncomfortable truth. Many things we think are assets, like that shiny new car or even our primary home, if it's not actually putting money in our pocket monthly, he argues it's actually a liability. It's actively draining our wealth potential.
Wow. Yeah, it really makes you rethink everything you've been taught about what makes you seem rich.
The core insight isn't just the definition itself, but that radical reevaluation of our most, cherished possessions. He says many in the poor and middle classes often mistakenly view liabilities as assets, while wealthy individuals, they laser focus on building true assets, things that generate income. And this leads directly to another core concept in the book, escaping what Kiyosaki vividly calls the rat race.
Ah, yes, the rat race.
Relying solely on a salary, he suggests, can trap you. It puts you in this perpetual cycle of working just to pay bills month after month.
It's such a vivid image, almost visceral. We kind of all know it instinctively, but Kiyosaki really lays bare what keeps us on that treadmill, doesn't he? So what's the escape route, according to him?
Well, To break free, the book stresses the importance of creating investments, businesses, and crucially passive income sources.
Passive income, that's the dream for many, right?
It is. And that's money that flows in without your active day-to-day labor being directly exchanged for it, like rent from a property you own or dividends from stocks, royalties from a book. The key lies in diversifying how your money comes in so you're not solely dependent on that single paycheck.
Okay, that makes sense. But building those assets often involves risk, right?
Mm.
While playing it safe with a secure job or, fixed deposits can provide stability, Kiyosaki argues that becoming truly wealthy often requires taking calculated risks. But calculated is the important word there, isn't it? How does he differentiate that from just being reckless?
That's a great point. He really emphasizes learning from failures rather than letting the fear of them paralyze you. The real breakthrough Kiyosaki pushes is that financial failure isn't necessarily an end state. It's data, it's feedback.
Like an experiment.
Exactly. It's a calculated experiment, not some kind of personal indictment if it doesn't work out immediately. It's about understanding the potential downside, managing it as best you can, and, crucially, growing from the experience, learning what not to do next time or what to do differently.
Which ties into that fundamental mindset shift, doesn't it? This idea of changing the questions you ask yourself. It's not just a clever turn of phrase. It feels like the engine behind every other lesson Kiyosaki teaches. He points out the poor dad would often say, I can't afford it. End of story.
Right. Whereas the rich dad, faced with the same desirable thing, would ask, how can I afford it?
Just changing that question, the book illustrates fundamentally changes your thinking. It shifts the gears in your brain. It moves you from a position of, resignation to one of active problem solving. You start looking for opportunities, for ways to make it happen.
It's about empowering yourself to find a way, rather than just accepting limitations.
Precisely. It's incredibly empowering as a concept.
And it's clearly resonated with millions over the years. I mean, the book's longevity is proof of that. But while the ideas are compelling and have definitely inspired so many people, it's also important for us, in this deep dive, to look at both sides. We should consider its strengths and the common criticisms for a balanced view.
Absolutely essential. And there are definite strengths. The book is widely celebrated, and I think rightly so, for explaining complex financial principles in really easy-to-understand language. It's written almost like a story, isn't it? Which makes it very accessible, not intimidating like some finance books. Totally agree. And it really does shift your perspective, especially, I think, if you come from a more traditional middle-class background where the focus is often just on getting a good job and saving. That clear distinction between assets and liabilities, as we talked about, that's particularly memorable. It sticks with you.
It also serves as a powerful motivator. It pushes you to think about diversifying your income sources, taking active control of your financial future, rather than just sort of passively saving and hoping for the best.
Okay, but it's not without its detractors, as we mentioned. What are some of the common critiques people level against it?
Well, one criticism you hear a lot is that the book is perhaps more motivational than it is practical. It offers limited step-by-step investment strategies, gets you fired up, right? Yeah. It ignites that desire for financial freedom, but it doesn't always provide the detailed roadmap for how to achieve it, which understandably can leave some initial investors feeling a bit adrift, maybe unsure of what to do next.
And then there's that whole ongoing debate about whether Rich Dad was even a real person. Some believe he's more of a composite character, maybe even just a metaphor Kiyosaki created. Does that undermine the message, do you think? If he wasn't real?
That's a fair question. Not necessarily the core message. Even if he's metaphorical, the lessons themselves, focusing on assets, financial literacy, passive income, they still hold conceptual weight. But it's definitely an important point for listeners to consider. The power of the narrative isn't necessarily reliant on strict biographical accuracy, perhaps.
Right.
Also, another point is that many of the specific examples in the book, especially around real estate and taxes, are quite heavily based on the American system.
Okay. Good point.
The investment options, the tax laws, they might not be fully applicable in all countries. So for an audience in, say, India or Europe or elsewhere, those details would definitely require local adaptation. And that lack of specific universally applicable guidance could potentially increase risk for people looking for direct step-by-step implementation based only on the book.
Okay, that's a really important context. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it seems clear that Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't really meant to be a technical finance guide, is it? It's much more of a powerful mindset change book. It really aims to fundamentally rewire how you think about money, wealth, and your own potential.
I think that's exactly right. If you're willing to really embrace its core lessons and crucially take the initiative to translate them into a concrete action plan that works for your situation, learning how to actually make your money start working for you, then this book truly does have the potential to transform your financial life and maybe even your whole relationship with wealth and earning.
So, a final thought for everyone listening after today's deep dive. What's maybe one liability you might be reevaluating in your own life right now? And maybe what's one asset you're now determined to learn more about or even start acquiring? Keep that question in mind as you continue your own journey toward greater financial understanding.